Welcome back. I'm Shireen with All Street Designs, and this little Ethan Allen dresser is my next project. This poor dresser is old and tired. I got this off of Facebook Marketplace. The ad did not even say Ethan Allen, it just said small dresser, $10. And I was like, I think that is rock hard maple Ethan Allen, and sure enough. But wow, it's really been used. And the finish obviously is failing. It's old, it's missing some of the pulls. The little knobs, I think the little knobs are so cute, but there was a couple of them missing, so I'm going to have to figure something else out. But I got all that hardware off. Time for some PPE and a protective layer for my garage floor because I'm about to do a bunch of stripping. Now, I forgot to number the drawers, and if you know me, I always do, and I thought, oh no, I had to go back and do that. Time for the stripper. So I just this is going to be put the stripper on, wait a few minutes, and scrape it off. So the first part, though, is just seeing, is it really going to take this finish off? Because you really don't always know how the stripper is going to react. So I did get stripper on a few of the areas and then have to wait a few minutes before I see if this was going to be worth it or not, or am I going to have to just sand everything. But I started taking it off, and sure enough, it was going to go ahead and get through this finish. So I'm going to be able to get a lot of it off of there. Now it doesn't look like it's not this big dramatic stripping, but it is taking that protective coat off of there, which is going to allow me to get in there and sand much easier, much faster to get through that stain. Now I have my carbide scraper. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. This is just a one-handed thing. After you use stripper, it makes whatever coating is left kind of gummy. And so if I can't get it off with the putty knife, I just use my carbide scraper very lightly, and I'm able usually to just scrape most of the rest of that off of there. Because once this sits for a few minutes, that hardens again. But you can see it just kind of changes the tone of it a little bit. It's like, again, it's not dramatic, but it is taking that thick protective coat off. Now that was some lacquer thinner, and again, I'm just cleaning up what little bit of stripper and finish is left. And get that cleaned up because that will just save me some time. Now I'm going to go in with a sanding net. It's hard to see, but this is a 120 grit. And I like the sanding net because when I hook this up to my shop vac, it really cuts down on the dust. And I feel like, especially when I'm stripping pieces, the sanding net has a little bit more bite to it. I also feel like it lasts so much longer when I'm doing a lot of sanding. Now, certainly traditional sandpaper has its place, but when I'm stripping, this tends to be where I head with it. And then just getting down to that raw maple, it's so pretty. And I have some ideas of what I want to do with this, and it's like, do I just completely restore it, or we'll see. So I'm loading up my syringe with wood glue because I've got some boards. The laminated boards are starting to separate. And that just happens over time. These sit on the floor, and who knows with the carpet. I've got some dental floss, so I injected that in there as much as I could, and the dental floss is just going to help thread that down in between the boards a little bit better. I'm just going to put some more in there and really push it into that crack. And this is not a crack in the wood. This is just the laminated boards separating a bit. I got a long bar clamp on there and really tighten that in, and you can see the glue is squishing out, so I had enough in there. And getting all the drawers sanded. Now, I took one of my interface pads and I cut it so that I could have a strip down the middle, because that strip down the middle of the drawer is recessed. So then I was able to wrap the sanding net around it and create this molded sanding. Otherwise I'd be doing this all by hand. So I was able to kind of custom fit something to go right down in that spot so I could sand it. And that worked like a charm. I'm like, all these years, why haven't I done this before? I don't know, but I'm doing it again every time I have something like that. Because I was able to sand these so much faster. That is usually a spot that is all done by hand. So I did it in every area. It worked so well. Time to get things cleaned up. I love the leaf blower for this. It does blow dust everywhere, but it certainly cleans out the piece really well. So I got everything wiped down and I'm putting all the drawers back in. Everything's all cleaned up. And now you'll see what color this wood actually would be if I were to just put top coat on. It's kind of yellow. So I decided to mix a couple of wiping stains. And these are a bit more opaque. Now maple, at least for me, traditionally, especially with a penetrating stain, comes out a bit blotchy. And I thought doing a wiping stain would actually help that a little bit because it's not as translucent. And I mixed a couple of colors and here it is. I get in here and I'm like, ooh, is that the color I was going for? But I'm this far into it, so I just keep on going. And once I get everything on there and I get it all wiped back, I'm like, okay, that's kind of natural, but that wasn't what I was going for. So I added another white pickling wiping stain. And again, these are all oil-based stains, so I'm stacking them. And this is layering at its finest. So I get that on there and it did lighten everything up. So I thought, okay, I'll do that everywhere. And then I didn't love that look either. So as soon as I got that done, I went in with another stain and I'm trying to warm things up now. And then I decided at the very end of it all to go with the stain that I originally was going to go with. This is a gel stain. This is the color I should have just started with in the beginning. And here I am. So what I was trying to do was do something lighter, and I just didn't care for the colors that I had chosen. So here I am at the color I was originally thinking I might do because I wanted to do something that was similar to the original stain, but just not quite as orange. And I'm happy with this one. So I know it doesn't look anything incredible at the moment, but once you get all the top coats and everything on, it's going to brighten this up. And the wood grain is still there and still beautiful. You can even see just with the shellac. Now I'm just sealing everything in. There's a bunch of different ways to seal the stain, and that's what I prefer. So I did shellac, let that dry for a number of hours, and now I've got my Erlex 6700 sprayer and really just putting on some nice top coat layers. I like this sprayer for top coat. It really does a great job with a super fine mist. I'm going to sand in between coats every time, and then I'm going to be doing coat after coat. I want this to not only be pretty and nice and restored, but I also want it to be very durable. So I'm just wiping all the dust off, and then I will do another coat. I'm freshening up some vintage hardware. Now 2.5 inches is not common. I happen to have those little 2.5 inch poles in my inventory, and they're replacing the traditional bat wings, and I thought they were so cute. Now the Ethan Allen knobs were missing, and I replaced them with other vintage knobs, and those worked out perfectly. Now let's take a look back at where this poor little dresser started. And here we are now. Isn't she lovely? Again, it's very similar to the original, not quite as orange, and just refreshed and good as new. I love the updated hardware. I think it really adds a sense of modern charm to this very traditional piece. So I hope you love this makeover as much as I do. And if you like these types of makeovers, be sure to follow for more.